So now we will see model based clustering. So in model based clustering technique, there are three types are there: expectation maximization, conceptual clustering, and neural network approach. Okay. So whatever may be the approach, the final agenda is just clustering the data. Okay. So first case we will see expectation maximization. In model based clustering method, what is the main agenda? We will see that model based clustering method. Later we will see these three types. Model based clustering methods attempt to optimize the fit between the given data and some mathematical model. So see here, in model based methods that attempt to optimize, that gives the best solution, fit between given data and mathematical model. One mathematical model we will use. Based on mathematical model, just we will divide the data, fit the data point related to which cluster, that we can predict by using mathematical model. So that's why the name itself indicates it is model based clustering method. So it is we are doing the process by using some mathematical model. That's why it is model based clustering method. Such methods are often based on the assumption that the data are generated by a mixture of underlying probability distribution. So these methods are based on the mixture of probability distribution. Here probability is also taken, the probability distribution, which cluster, the point belongs to this cluster. What is the probability? Based on the probability, we will divide the data points into cluster. This point related to which cluster, this point related to which cluster. The probabilities also we will take. Okay. So in model based clustering, mathematical model we are taking and we are fitting the data. So and also we are considering probability distribution. Next, the three examples of model based clustering techniques are these three. It is an extension of k-means partitioning algorithm. Okay, so in this, it is nothing but extension of k-means algorithm, the expectation maximization. Okay, so it is a extension of k-means algorithm. We can say then three types are expectation maximization, conceptual clustering, neural network approach to clustering. These three are different model-based clustering method. Based on different models, we are clustering the data. Expectation maximization, the name itself indicates. So expectation, we are having one formula, and maximization, we are having another formula. Using that, we will expect and maximize these related to which cluster, like that. So that is expectation maximization. Conceptual clustering, the concepts, the description, the theory, based on that theory, based on that description, based on that concepts, we will divide the data into clusters. That is the conceptual clustering. Okay, based on the description, based on the characteristics of the data. Conceptual means we will also consider the characteristics of data, that is which type of data, based on that data type, based on that concepts, based on that description, based on that description characteristics, we will divide the data into different clusters. So that is nothing but conceptual clustering. Next, neural network approach to clustering. We already know what is meant by neural network. So the neural network consists of input unit, output unit, and middle we are having the several layers are there. The hidden layers are there in between the input unit and output unit. So input unit you will give, next several processing can be done. So differently at different layers, different processing operations can be done. Finally, output you will get. This is the neural network concept. Huh? Based on this concept, we will divide the data. Based on this concept, we will cluster the data. So that is neural network approach to clustering. Okay, so these are the three different model-based clustering methods: expectation maximization, conceptual clustering, neural network approach to clustering. Expectation maximization. Each cluster can be represented mathematically by a parametric probability distribution. So each cluster can be represented mathematically by a probability distribution. So for each and every cluster, so from probability distribution, for this cluster to with these elements, it is forming this cluster means with the probability of so probability of 90%, okay, 0.9, like that, okay, 90%, 80% probability, 50% probability, like that each and every cluster can be formed. Okay, so then we can get that exact the cluster is in that cluster how many other cluster elements are there, how much this cluster is completely how much these cluster points are completely related to with this cluster only. So how much we succeeded, how many number of operations we have to perform. That means how many number of iterations we have to perform to get the exact result. That is 100% clustering. The entire data is a mixture of these distributions, where each individual distribution is typically referred to as component distribution. Okay, so that each individual distribution is called component distribution. The name itself indicates component. Each and every part is nothing but component. We can therefore cluster the data using a finite mixture density model of a probability distribution, where each distribution represents a cluster. See here, finite mixture density model. So density model means the number of points set in a particular region, within a particular region. So then that is we can say that is the density high. Number of points are very nearer. So and set in a particular area. So then that is high density. No? So mixture density model of k probability distributions, where each distribution represents a cluster. So each and every distribution, we are dividing the data in various distributions. Each distribution represents a cluster. The problem is to estimate the parameters of the probability distribution so as to best fit the data. Here the problem is to estimate the parameters of probability distribution. Okay, to best fit the data, we have to estimate the all probability distribution, different parameters, mathematical parameters are there. No? So these all mathematical parameters we have to estimate properly to best fit the data. When the data best fit, then only we can form good cluster. Okay? Worst fit, best fit, average fit. So these three you have to know. So the best fit means exactly fitting the data exactly. We are assigning. So the average fitting means that is nearer value. That is nearer value. Then also we are considering. So worst fit means that is not at all related to data. Okay, that is the worst fit. Figure is an example of some simple finite mixture density model. See, two circles are there. So the first circle, second circle. In the circle, so one center is represented with a big circle, and surrounding some points are there, data points. So these all are within that cluster. These all are the data points. In this cluster also, these all are the data points. Outside the clusters, we are having the different points far away to each other. Those are nothing but the noise points. There are two clusters. Each follows normal or Gaussian distribution. Each follows normal or Gaussian distribution with its own mean and standard deviation. Okay, so each and every cluster is having own mean. For each cluster, we are having the mean and standard deviation. So this follows that Gaussian distribution formula that is already represented here. Okay, in the figure we represented. Okay, so in expectation maximization is a popular iterative refinement algorithm. So iterative refinement. So it is also number of times we will iterate, number of times we will process the algorithm for the data, for the result, for the complete clustering. We will process as in k-means algorithm. In k-means algorithm also number of times the second and third step we will repeat number of times. In k-means algorithm we are having 4 steps. In 4 steps, second, third step we will repeat number of times. Number of times we will what we will do, number of times we will change the center with the mean value. Initially random value you will take, next mean value, to the mean value you are changing the center. Next, nearest values you will take, and again you will calculate the mean value. So to that mean value you are changing the center. Like that number of times you will iterate. Na? Here also in expectation maximization also you will just iterate number of times. It can be viewed as an extension of k-means. So that's I clearly saying number of times. It is nothing but extension of k-means algorithm. So it looks like the k-means algorithm principle. So in that we are applying some additional features which assigns an object to a cluster, an object to the cluster with which it is most similar. The same principle we are going with the same principle we are going with k-means also, na? So that is the process here. Next, instead of assigning each object to a dedicated cluster, EM assigns each object to a cluster according to a weight representing the probability of membership. See here, the difference is here in k-means clustering, what we will do, we will divide the data into different clusters and the boundaries are there. So we will exactly divide the data into these clusters. Within that cluster only, the center will be changed. All the operations can be done. Okay. Any point to any cluster, number of 3-4 clusters. In those clusters, for each and every point you examine and you assign to any cluster. So there is no strict boundaries between cluster. So that is the expectation maximization main principle. In that is the process of expectation maximization. So in this there are no boundaries between cluster. So and for each and every point you will calculate the weight. Based on the weight you will assign data point to a cluster. So you are here you observe EM assigns each object to a cluster according to a weight representing the probability of membership. That weight is nothing but probability of membership. For that point, what is the probability? That probability is nothing but weight here. So if it is the 80% probability with that cluster with that that is related to first cluster, na? So that is nothing but weight. Weight is 80. Okay. So next weight is 60, like that. So that is nothing but probability of membership. In other words, there are no strict boundaries between clusters. So as like in k-means algorithm, here there are no strict boundaries. Therefore, new means are computed based on weighted measures. So that's why new means are computed. So again and again, new mean values are computed with these weighted values, with these weight values. The expectation maximization algorithm is described as follows. So that is first one. Make an initial quest of the parameter vector. This involves randomly selecting k objects to represent the cluster mean or center. That is as k-means partitioning, as like in k-means partitioning, as well as making guess for the additional parameters. Next, iteratively refine the parameters based on the following two steps. First one is the expectation step. How you will refine the parameters means now. So how will refine the clusters? How will form clusters? First you have to follow expectation step. Assign each object xi to cluster ck with the probability p of xi belongs to ck equal to p of ck slash xi, that is equal to p of ck p of xi slash ck by p of xi. This is the probability. Next, maximization step. Use the probability estimate from the above to re-estimate or just refine the model. So it is also having formula. So sigma I equal to 1 to n xi p of x belongs to ck. So here actually the space is not sufficient, that's why I was not represented. Okay. So anyway, I will give you the formula. You can go for that for maximization. Okay. For expectation, we are having formula for probability. Okay. Next, conceptual clustering. So conceptual clustering or cobweb, we will also call it as cobweb method. Conceptual clustering is a form of clustering in machine learning. Okay, so this is a clustering in machine learning. Machine learning, data mining, data warehousing, so many concepts will merge. Okay, data mining concepts are so many data mining concepts are we will see in machine learning also. Okay, given a set of unlabeled object produces a classification scheme over the objects. Given a set of unlabeled objects, just produce a classification scheme over the objects. So it primarily identifies groups of like objects and then also finding characteristic descriptions for each group represents a concept or class. Okay, so based on the concepts, based on the distinguishing characteristics, based on the principal characteristics of the data, like objects, just we will group into a cluster. Dislike object, just we will divide. Okay, based upon the likelihood, just we will gather the data. Hence the conceptual clustering is a two-step process. So it is a two-step process. Clustering is performed first, followed by characterization. First we will do the clustering, next we will see the characterization, that means characteristics of the data. So most methods of conceptual clustering adopt a statistical approach that uses the probability. So the conceptual clustering, most number of methods, all the methods approach statistical approach. Statistical approach means mathematical models. Okay. So for any clustering, these type of clustering methods, all these clustering methods you need mathematical models, mathematical fundamentals. So everything you have to represent in a mathematical. While you are representing in theory, okay, for every clustering, we are studying what is the process that should be finally implemented, that should be finally processed by using mathematical principle only, mathematical formula only. So that can be implemented in programming, using some Python like that. Just we will implement it. Okay, final implementation we will do with Python. So when these theoretical concept, when we formulated mathematical formula we applied, for that mathematical formula we will write the code in Python. For machine learning we will use mainly a Python language. Why? Because for machine learning is a vast subject, very complexity in formula also, regarding theory also, it is having the complexity. So it has to be implemented with easy language. That's why we will choose mostly Python for machine learning or for all these. Okay, so for all these implementation we will use Python. Why? Because these complex things can be implemented in Python, then it will be easy. Then it will be easy to understand. Then it will be easy to implement. So we have taken already the complex complex tasks, and we have also choose some complex language, na? So then it is difficult to understand. That's why we will mainly prefer Python language for this all clustering techniques or machine learning data mining techniques. Okay, CobWeb is a popular and a simple method of incremental conceptual clustering. So step by step, it is a incremental conceptual clustering. So step by step, it is increased. Okay, it will be increased. Its input objects are described by categorical attribute value pairs. So the input objects are described by categorical attribute value. So categorical. So different categories as shown in figure. Just animal. So again, that is divided into three types now. So fish, amphibian, and mammal. So again, mammal. Next, that is mammal, bird. Mammal, bird. Two are there. So in these, again, mammals are divided into one category and birds are divided into another category. Like that, what here we are doing, based on the characteristics, you are dividing the data into different clusters. That is animal into fish, amphibian, and mammal, bird, mammal/bird. Again, mammal, bird, both combinations can be divided into mammal as one cluster and bird as another cluster. Like this, you will divide into different categories. So that is nothing but conceptual clustering. Mainly based on characteristics, you will divide the data. So CobWeb creates hierarchical clustering in the form of classification tree. How it will see? Okay, how it looks like a classification tree. It looks like a hierarchical clustering, level by level. The data is in level by level manner. So it looks like a tree structure. So that's why it creates a hierarchical clustering in the form of classification tree. Cobweb uses a measure called category utility to guide construction of the tree. So it uses a measure category utility. So the category utility is defined as, so this category utility formula, this is the category utility formula. Just you will substitute the values, and based on that category utility, you will divide the data into different clusters at different levels. That is conceptual clustering. Okay. So exploitation maximization, conceptual clustering. Next, see here, the conceptual clustering extension is nothing but a classic. Okay, cobweb method. What are the limitations of cobweb? So what are the limitations, or we can say some drawbacks of a cobweb method? So those are assumption of probability distributions on separate attributes are statistically independent of one another is not always true. So that is one problem. It is quite expensive to update and store the cluster. Okay. So every time updating and storing the cluster is expensive. The time and space complexity is more. Okay. Time complexity, space complexity problem is there. The classification tree is not height balanced. This classification tree, if you observe, it is not height balanced. So height balance, what is meant by height balance? You have already seen data structure AVL. Okay. So this is not height balanced. Okay. So if you check a height balance formula here, so it is not height balanced. So that is also one limitation to cobweb. So class it is nothing but extension of cobweb method for incremental clustering of continuous data. Uses a modified category utility measure that is an integral over continuous attributes instead of a sum over discrete attributes as in cobweb. So in cobweb, we will see in cobweb sum of a discrete attributes we will see. So here what we will do using a category utility measure, integral over continuous attributes, that we will do in classic. Okay, so integration we will apply on continuous attributes. Okay. Next, it is not suitable for clustering large data, that is large data set. Okay, not suitable for large data set. Next, conceptual clustering is popular in machine learning community. So it is mainly popular in machine learning community. Why? Because that you observe classification, prediction, from all these you observe, you divide the data based on the characteristics. So each and every data point you observe, at each and every concept, each and every topic you observe, vast number of data is available in real time also. In real time we are having vast amount of data, huge amount of data. That amount of data you have to analyze. You have to analyze that amount of data. You have to characterize that amount of data. You have to categorize that amount of data, all the amount of data. So that is the typical process actually. So the conceptual clustering is also the characteristics of the data. Conceptual clustering is nothing based on characteristics. You will divide the data. So in entire machine learning data mining concept, you will see the same thing here. Okay, that's why conceptual clustering is popular in machine learning community. In machine learning, it is very popular. We will use highly this conceptual clustering method. Why? Because it is also related to characteristics of the data, concepts of the data. So that's why. However, the method does not scale well for large data sets. It is not suitable for large data sets. For large data sets, for each and every data point, data object, you cannot analyze the data, you cannot analyze the characteristics. That is typical process. Okay, so it is not suitable for large amount of data sets, but it is useful. Okay, in machine learning, for small data sets, we will use this classic method or cobweb method. Okay, so that is the second model-based clustering method. Model-based clustering technique. Next, third one is the neural network approach. So neural network approach, you already know what is meant by neural network. Okay, neural network approach is motivated by biological neural networks. So biological neurons in our brain, so that it is mainly extracted from there, that concept. In brain, so many neurons are there. So how those are communicated with each other, how the data is stored in human brain. So like that, the neural network also works. In neural network is a set of connected input-output units where each connection has a weight associated with it. So neural network is a set of input-output units. So it is a set of input unit, output unit. In between input-output unit, we are having several layers. So each connection has a weight associated with it. For each and every connection, we are having weight. So neural networks have several properties that make them popular for clustering. Several properties. It is having the several properties that make them popular for clustering. First, neural networks are inherently parallel and distributed processing architecture. Neural networks are, you can see the figure. So neural network processing architecture, just once you see, so then you can observe that, so it is just a parallel and distributed processing. So in neural network, what we'll do, the parallel processing, it is just parallel processing and distributed processing architecture. Second point, the neural networks learn by adjusting their interconnection weights so as to best fit the data. For best fitting the data, the adjustment of data can be done in neural networks. This allows them to normalize or prototype the patterns and act as feature extractors for the various clusters. So this adjustment feature, what will do now? So it will normalize the data. So whatever may be the data, if you want to represent within a small scale, 0 to 1, you can do with this neural network approach. Why? Because it is having the adjustable property. Now, with adjustable property, the data, entire data, it may be 0 to some 10 lakhs may be there. So this value may be 25,000, 35,000, some 60,000, like that. Different values are there. 65,636, like the data is there. So whatever may be the data, you can scale it from 0 to 1. Okay, that can be done by using this adjusting property of this neural network. You can normalize the data. Next, neural networks process numerical vectors and require object patterns to be represented by quantitative features only. Numerical vectors means number. The number is automatically that represented by quantity. Quantity can be represented by numerical vectors. Neural network approach to clustering tends to represent each cluster as an exemplar. Okay, each cluster is represented as an exemplar. The terminology is exemplar per cluster. New objects can be distributed to the cluster whose exemplar is most similar. That is nothing but cluster is more similar. Okay, in the data, which cluster is most similar, the data point is similar to which cluster, that we will assign. Here, for whose exemplar is most similar, that we will assign that to that exemplar. Only the terminology differs, that's it. The attributes of an object assigned to a cluster can be predicted from the attributes of the cluster's exemplar. Okay, here self-organizing feature maps are one of the most popular neural network methods for cluster analysis. Self-organizing feature maps. Okay, this is the most popular method. What is this use of this self-organizing feature map that we will see? They are sometimes referred to as Cohen self-organizing feature maps, or QO-Cohen, or topologically ordered maps. These are scientist names. First two are scientist names. These are topologically ordered maps. That is, the topological means one by one, logical order. So logical order among these. Okay. So self-organized maps goal is to represent all points in a high dimensional source space by points in a low dimensional target space. Okay. So by low dimensional target space, from that to high dimensional source space, the data can be represented in this way, from one level to other level. That is self-organizing map. Preserving distance and proximity relationships. Okay, distance relationships and proximity. So you are having formula for finding out the proximity measure. Okay, so that proximity measure, using that you can map low level data, low level target space to high level source data. Just you can map the data. Okay, that is self-organizing map. Using that, you can map the data. So this is about the neural network approach. These are the three categories in model-based clustering. Okay, so in model-based clustering, what we are having three models. First one is three types we are having. First one is expectation maximization. Next, second one is conceptual clustering. Expectation maximization mainly depends on probability distribution. Probability distributions, weights, based on that the clustering can be done. So for that we are having several formulae for probability distribution. So the iteratively it can be done. It is nothing but extension of K-means algorithm. That is about expectation maximization method. Next, conceptual method is it is completely related to characteristics of the data. So mainly the data can be divided into different parts, clusters based on the characteristics of the data. You can see the figure. So it looks like a classification tree. So but it is not height balanced. So it looks like a hierarchical method. So why? Because level by level. Okay. Next, it looks like a classification tree. So based on the characteristics, based on the concepts, based on the theory, based on description, we will divide the data. So the animal can be divided into fish, amphibians, and mammal bird like this. Again, mammal bird can be divided further like this, level by level. The division can be done. For this, category utility can be calculated. That by using this formula, which we just calculate the category utility based on the just we will divide the data. Okay, so that is conceptual clustering. Next, this conceptual clustering extension is Closed method. So this is also more similar to that, but some all limitations are there for cobweb method. Those can be rectified up to some extension, rectified by Classic method. Neural network approach means we already know about neural network approach. Those neural network approach, neural network principles we will apply in clustering the data. Okay, so then you can easily do the clustering. The neural network main agenda is to get the accurate data. So then you can get here accurate data, exact data you can get. Okay. So in neural net, if you use neural network approach to clustering the data, then you can get accurate data, exact data. Then you can divide the data into exact clusters. Okay. Next, outlier analysis. This is the next topic. Till now we have seen different clustering methods. This is nothing but outlier analysis. So outlier, there exist data objects that do not comply with the general behavior of the model. So see here, what is meant by outlier, that we will see first. So outlier is nothing but, so in a for example, in 10 balls are there. So in 10 balls, 9 balls are red color, 1 ball is green color. The green color ball is nothing but the outlier. Okay, so you take any example. Okay, so just 10 items are there. So in 10 items, 9 items are mobile. So 1 item is some iPad. Okay, so that is nothing but outlier. iPad is outlier here. Okay, like that, all objects within the box or within the cluster or within the region behave similarly. Only one object, 1 or 2 objects that behave not regularly. Okay, not similar to other, as compared with others who are not reflecting the similar property. Those are nothing but the outliers. Those are nothing but the noise points. Okay, those points are not at all similar to other. Those points are dissimilar to other elements. So those are nothing but the outliers. There exist data objects that do not comply with the general behavior or model of the data. Okay, they will not show the general behavior. Okay, so they will other behavior from the remaining elements, remaining objects. Those are nothing but the outliers, such as data objects which are grossly different from or inconsistent with the remaining sets of data are called outliers. Mainly that is the outlier. So outlier we have already seen, all the elements are, for example, in a data set, all the elements are at one place. The one object is completely far away from that. That is outlier. Okay. So like that in your class, na, so 60 members are there. 60 members, in 60 members, if 59 members are regular to the class, one member is not regular to the class. Okay, so that is nothing but outlier. Okay, that particular person is treated as outlier. Okay, so that is the outlier. Outlier detection and analysis are very useful for fraud detection. Okay, this outlier detection analysis, real-time application is very important na, for any topic, for any method. This is useful in fraud detection. So fraud, how we can detect fraud? So general behavior, the person based on the characteristics, they are not behaving like general. Then we will detect that as a fraud. Fraud we can detect. Next, customized marketing. So marketing also we can do. So in marketing, so all the elements if you compare, which is not at all similar to other the remaining elements, that is treated as customized marketing application. Next, medical analysis. In medical analysis also we'll use outlier analysis. In medical analysis, you can analyze the medicine. You can analyze the properties. Okay, based on the properties which is not similar to other elements. So odd, when you compare with the remaining elements, it is odd. Then we can say that is the outlier. Okay, so the odd features if you observe, okay, so you can just remove from that. In that way, we can use in medical analysis. Okay, and many other tasks. We are having several applications in real time with this outlier analysis, the clustering methods. We are having several applications in real time. Okay, we have just seen some applications. Computer based outlier analysis methods typically follow either, so this outlier analysis, computer based analysis methods typically follow either statistical distribution based approach. These are the approaches we will follow for the outlier detection, for the outlier analysis. Okay, for the outlier detection, outlier analysis purpose, we will use these methods. In these methods, any one method we will use. Statistical distribution based approach, that is nothing but based on mathematical features. Based on mathematical features, based on mathematical distributions, we will find out the outlier. Next, distance based approach, based on the distance which is very nearer to general cluster, so not nearer. Okay, that is far away from. So that is nothing but outlier. We can observe the outlier. That is the second approach. Distance already we know. So in previous topics also we have seen the distance. The elements are nearer to each other. Those are cluster. The element is which is far away from the other elements. That is nothing but outlier or noise point. We already discussed that. The same thing here. We can observe the outlier. We can detect the outlier by using distance based approach or statistical mathematical formula. Using that mathematical formula, we can also find out which is outlier. Next, density based local outlier detection approach based on density. So that is nothing but if all the elements are very thick, very nearer, one element is having some distance, more distance with the other element. So then that is nothing but outlier based on density. Density is nothing but number of points are very nearer to each other. Then that is the high density. In a data set, number of points are randomly placed. So those are each and every point is some distance with the other point. Then that is low density. Okay. So high density, low density. That is meant by high density, low density. So based on density, the outlier can be detected. So it is far away now. That's why automatically it is treated as outlier. As compared with the other elements. Other elements are having no distance from each other, very nearer, very thick, very nearer. So those all can be treated as a cluster. So one element is having 2 centimeters, 3 centimeters distance to this particular region. Then that is treated as outlier. Based on density, we can detect the outlier. Deviation based approach. Deviation means the element which deviated from others. Okay, that is nothing but outlier. We can simply tell as that as outlier. Okay, so these are the four approaches to find outlier. Statistical distribution based approach. Again, in statistical distribution approach, you are having these different types. Okay, so first working hypothesis, alternative hypothesis. Again, in alternative hypothesis, we are having inherent alternative distribution, mixture alternative distribution, next slippage alternative distribution. Okay, these are the different measures for statistical distribution based approach. In statistical distribution based approach, to outlier detection assumes a distribution or probability model for a given data set. Okay, that is nothing Poisson distribution. Example is a normal distribution or Poisson distribution. And then identifies outliers with respect to the model using discordancy test. Okay, so based on discordancy test, we will find out the outlier. How does the discordancy testing work? A statistical discordancy test examines two hypotheses, working hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. So what is meant by working hypothesis? That is a statement of n objects come from an initial distribution model f, that is h belongs to fi, I equal to 1 to n. The hypothesis is retained if there is no statistically significant evidence supporting its rejection. So a discordancy test verifies whether an object OI is significantly large or small in relation to distribution f. So that is the discordancy test that verifies an object that is significantly large in relation to distribution f or not. So next, in the same way, alternative distribution, that is to determine the power of the test, that is the probability that is working hypothesis is rejected when OI is really an outlier. So inherent alternative distribution, next mixture alternative distribution, next slippage alternative distribution. Okay, so these are the three types of alternative distributions. So are having the formula, just you will apply those formula and you can find out the outlier. Procedure for detecting outlier. Two procedures are there, block procedure, next sequential procedure. So block procedure is nothing but either all of the suspected objects are treated as outliers or all of them accepted as a consistent. Okay, first method is in detecting outliers. First method is all the elements can be considered as outliers or all the elements can be considered as data objects. Okay, so either all or none. Okay, all or none. So that is nothing but block procedure. So you have to just accept all or reject all. So no need to accept something, some elements you have to accept and some elements you are not accepting. So it is not like that. In block procedure, either you will allow all or you will reject all. Consecutive sequential procedure. An example of such a procedure is the inside out procedure. Its main idea is that the object is least likely to be an outlier tested first. Okay, least likely to be an outlier. So that for every when it is tested, so it is least likely to be an outlier. So then it is the data point. If it is likely to be an outlier, it is considered as an outlier. If it is found to be outlier, then all of the more extreme values are also considered as outlier. See here, sequential procedure means if one element considered as outlier, the sequential next elements, consecutive elements are also considered as outlier. So if one element, if we consider that as an element, if tested, that is treated as a data object. So then remaining elements, the consecutive elements, you test and those elements up to some limit. So 3-4 points can be considered as data objects only. We can say based on distance, which are very nearer, the elements or objects which are very nearer, those are comes into a cluster. So the element is which is far away from the region, that is nothing but outlier. Okay. So for that we have to apply some formulae. Okay. So those formulae we will see now. An object O in data set D is a distance based outlier with parameters PCT and dmin. That is a dB outlier. Okay. If at least a fraction PCT of the objects in D, that is at a distance greater than d min from O. In other, it is nothing but mathematical terminology, which is far away from the region, that is outlier. That is simple theoretical point of view. So in mathematical point of view, first we have to represent that in a mathematical formula, then we have to implement that. Okay. In other words, we can think of the distance based outlier as those objects that do not have enough neighbors. Okay. So here, in other words, we can say, so that is the mathematical terminology. In other words, simple understanding way, we can say the object which is having enough neighbors. So you have already seen this density based clustering. In density based clustering also, what you have seen, for each and every point, minimum number of points are there, then it is core point. Okay, minimum number of points are not there, then it is not core point. If minimum number of points are there, then it is considered as a cluster. Okay, so like that you process. So here also, in distance based outlier detection, for each and every point you will see the neighbors, how many neighbors are there. Enough neighbors are there, so then enough neighbors are there, then this is considered as a cluster. Okay, enough neighbors are not there, then this is not considered as not considered as cluster. Where neighbors are defined based on distance from the given object. So these neighbors are defined based on the distance from the given object. These has to be within particular distance only. Okay, within 2 centimeters or 3 centimeters only, these neighbors have to be present. Okay, neighbors are defined based on the distance from the given object. Mainly the distance, the name itself indicates, it purely depends on the distance from the particular point within a particular distance, how many number of neighbors are there. Okay, so that can be considered as a distance based method. So which is not in that particular distance, those are considered as outliers. Distance based outlier detection avoids the excessive computation. So it is simply avoiding the excessive computation, excessive calculations, unnecessary calculations. It will just avoid, it will remove the unnecessary calculations, it will simplify the data, simplify the processing. Why? Because just we are finding enough neighbors are there within the region or not. If enough neighbors are not there, based on the distance, enough neighbors are not there, so then it is not considered as a data object. It is simply considered as a outlier. Okay, that can be associated with fitting observer distribution into some standard distribution and in selecting discordancy tests. The following efficient algorithms for mining distance based outliers. Okay. So these algorithms are some algorithms given. These are for mining distance based outliers. Distance based, these outliers are distance based. That is nothing but within the particular region, within the cluster, the elements are there, those are data points. As considered to distance, if they are far, those are distance based outliers. Okay, outliers are many types. Based on behavior, we can find out. Okay, for example, if we already discussed the example in 10 balls. In 10 balls, if 9 balls are green color, 1 is red color, that is outlier. That is based on color property. Okay. So if 10 items are there, in those 10 items, 9 are vegetable, 1 is fruit. So that is fruit is nothing but outlier. So in this way, different based on characteristics, properties also, we will divide the data into our. Okay, we will detect the outlier. We can find out the outlier. So whatever it may be, you can take a number of cases, fraud detection. So in 10 persons, 1 person is behaving oddly. So that then we can find out that person is a fraud. Okay. So like that, we are having several outlier detection. Here, the outlier you are detecting based on distance measure only. So then that is the distance based outlier detection. Okay. So this distance based outliers we can detect by using 3 algorithms. So index based algorithm in a data set, the index based algorithm uses multi-dimensional indexed structure such as R trees, KD trees to search for neighbors of each object O within radius d min around that object. Okay, so the index based algorithm, it uses a multi-dimensional indexing structure. It supports the multi-dimensional data. In multi-dimensional data, index should be there. What is meant by index? Index is a data structure that allows fast retrieval of data. How it allows fast retrieval of data? For each and every data point, a numerical value will be there. So serial number will be there, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. So like that, multi-dimensional indexing structures we need, such as R trees, KD trees. Why, how this will be help? Okay, these will help to search neighbors of each object. For each object, what are the neighbors? So you can find out. Okay, if they are not neighbors, means those are outliers. That is the index-based algorithm. Then next, nested loop algorithm. Nested loop means one within another. Nested means, the name itself indicates, nested means one within another. Loop means it will repeat the number of times. It will repeat number of times. It is one within another. Then the nested loop algorithm has the same computational complexity as the index-based algorithm. Same complexity as compared with the index-based, but what is the difference? See here, but avoids index structure construction and tries to minimize the number of input outputs. So it avoids the index structure construction. No need to construct the index structure. Okay. Next, it minimize the inputs and outputs. Number of inputs, number of outputs. It will just minimize that. It divides the memory buffer space into two halves. So it will just divide the buffer space into two halves. First half, second half, like that, and the data set into several logical blocks. Okay. So divide the data set into several logical blocks by carefully choosing the order in which blocks are loaded into each half. How the data is divided into each half part, first half part, second half part. That means the data can be divided into half and the outlier can be detected. The input output efficiency can be achieved. Okay, here the number of input outputs reduced, na? So automatically the efficiency can be achieved. Okay, for this we can rectify the number of inputs we have to take and number of outputs we are calculating. Not like that. We can easily find out the outlier as compared with the index-based algorithm. Next, cell-based algorithm. To avoid O of N2 computational complexity. So in cell-based algorithm, what we are doing now? So we are again we are rectifying the problem with the nested loop algorithm also. So complexity, again we are avoid the complexity. We are reducing the complexity. A cell-based algorithm was developed for memory resident data sets. Okay. So its complexity is O of Ck plus N. Ck means C is constant depending on the number of cells. Okay, C is the constant there. K is dimensionality. In this method, the data space is partitioned into cells with a side length. Okay, so that is the cell-based algorithm. So you can observe distance-based outlier detection. Simply the distance-based is nothing but there is no complexity. Enough number of neighbors are there, so then it is treated as a cluster. Enough numbers of neighbors are not there. Okay, then it is not treated as a cluster. Where neighbors are defined based on the distance from the given object. Within the distance, these can be within the distance from that point. These can be considered as a data point. Otherwise, some points are 2 centimeters. One point is 3 or 4 centimeters. That is nothing but the outlier. So in that way, we can detect. We will follow. Actually, it avoids the excessive computation. This distance-based method is easy compared with the other outlier detection methods. Excessive calculations we are avoiding. Discordancy test we are performing. Okay, so we are following three algorithms: index-based, nested loop, cell-based algorithm. Using these algorithms, we are finding outlier. Okay, so in index-based, we are following multi-dimensional indexing structure. We are creating that, and based on that indexing structures, we are finding out the outlier. Next, nested loop. Nested loop, the advantage is, so it consists of one within another structure. The number of iterations it consists of. It avoids the index structure construction. So same process as above algorithm has done, but the difference is indexing structure need not to calculate, need not to construct, tries to minimize the number of inputs outputs. Okay, number of inputs output, the complexity, efficiency can be increased. So all these are the advantages of this nested loop algorithm. Cell based algorithm some more advantages when compared to this. So we can reduce some complexity, that is WAP N2. Okay, some more complexity we reduced, avoided. Okay, we avoid some complexity. So finally, memory resident data sets based on cells. Based on cells, we detected outliers. So that is outlier, distance based outlier detection. Okay, so that is distance based outlier detection. So then the next one is the density based outlier detection. The density based outlier detection, based on density, we are finding the outlier. The number of points which are high within a region, that is high density. See here in figure, cluster 1, cluster 2 are there. In cluster 1, all points are in some distance when compared with others. Okay, so all points are in some distance when compared with others, that is C1. In C2, all the points are very nearer. Okay, you observe in C2 all the points are very nearer. So then this is we can say this is a high density. So in C1, the points are, all points are away. Okay, so in this we cannot say this is an outlier easily. Why? Because all are far away, na? So that is C1. In C2, all are very close. One point is outlier. So one point O2 is far away from the cluster, away from the cluster. So then this is considered as outlier for cluster 2. So O1 when you have seen, na? So this is outlier for C2 and C1 also. So because in C1 we are having all elements are not nearer. So but when compared with O1, these elements are somewhat nearer. So that's why this is considered as outlier for C1. So in this view, OT is, see here, first we will see density based local outlier detection. Based on density, we are finding the local outlier. For this cluster, what is the outlier that we are seeing? When the data is not uniformly distributed, then then to find outlier, we use density based outlier detection. Is not uniformly distributed. Data is not uniformly distributed. Okay, data is not uniformly distributed. That's why somewhere the data is high, somewhere data points are high, somewhere data points are low. Okay, so where data points are high, that is treated as a density high. Okay, so in cluster 1 you observe density is low. So in number of points here in C2 is high, in C1 is low, like that. No? So the data is not divided equally. Okay, here in some part data is high, data points are high. In some part data points are low, like that. So local outliers. What is meant by local outlier? We have seen outlier. Now we will see what is local outlier. An object is a local outlier if it is outlying relative to its local neighborhood, particularly with respect to the density of the neighborhood. Okay, with respect to the density of the neighborhood, so it is some away from the particular cluster. Okay, so if it is outlying relative to local neighborhood, locally some points are very nearer, so and it is away from that, that is nothing but local outlier. In this view, O2 is a local outlier relative to density of C2. Okay, O2 is a local outlier as you shown in the figure. For C2 cluster, all the elements are very nearer. O2 is some more far away. So this O2 is considered as a outlier. Object O1 is an outlier as well, and no objects in C1 are mislabeled as outlier. Okay, so in C1 you have seen, in C1 all elements are not nearer. Okay, all elements are having some distance. Then we cannot treat these elements as outliers. Okay, why? Because all elements are not nearer, na? So then we cannot treat this as a outliers. We have to treat this as a cluster, and we have to treat these points as a data point. Okay, why? Because all elements are with some distance, 1 centimeter, 2 centimeter, like that. All are not nearer. That's why we have to consider as a cluster. So in C2, when compared with C2, all elements are very nearer. You have to consider it as a cluster. O2 is not nearer to this. That's why you have to consider O2 as a outlier. Okay. So this forms the basis of density-based local outlier detection. Another key area of this approach is it does not consider being an outlier as binary property. Okay. So it does not consider being an outlier as a binary property. Instead, it assesses the degree to which an object is an outlier. Okay. So this degree of outlierness is computed as the local outlier factor, LOF of an object. So it is local in the sense that the degree depends on how isolated the object with respect to the surrounding neighborhood. Okay. This approach can detect both global and local outliers. So here two terms are there, very important, the terminology. What is global outlier, what is local outlier? Local outlier means O2 is outlier to cluster 2 only. Okay. Why? Because it is away from the cluster 2. When compared with the cluster 2, all elements are very nearer. So it is some more distance from cluster 2. When compared with C1, it is nearer to C2. That's why O2 is considered as outlier for C2 only. Okay. So when you have taken this O1, outlier 1, it is far distance from C1. It is also having some more distance from C2. That's why it is treated as a global outlier. Okay. So O1 is the global outlier. Why? Because it is far away from C1 and far away from C2. Okay. So this is a global outlier. O2 is a local outlier for C2. We can say why? Because this is far away from the cluster. So, but when compared with other cluster, it is nearer to C2. So it is far away from all elements of C2. Okay? So that is meant by local outlier and a global outlier. To define the local outlier factor of an object, we need to introduce the concepts of k-distance, k-distance neighborhood, reachability distance, and a local reachability density. Okay, these are all we have to find out. These are all concepts we have to learn to find out the local outlier factor. If you want to find out, we have to find out the k-distance neighborhood. Okay, next that is based on neighborhood values. Based on neighbors, you will calculate that k-distance neighborhood. Okay, k-distance you will calculate based on the number of objects surrounding it. Reachability distance, local reachability density. So these all you have to calculate to define that local outlier factor. Okay, this is about the density based outlier detection. These are all related to density. Okay, number of points within the region. Next one is the deviation based outlier detection. The name itself indicates deviation based outlier detection. What it will do, deviation based outlier identifies outliers by examining the main characteristics of objects in a group. Okay, so what are the main characteristics of objects? Some objects are not following that, those are deviating, those are nothing but outliers. So in a cluster, all elements are behaving like that. So have showing some characteristics. The main characteristics. Those are not all characteristics need not to be completely similar. So based upon the similarity, we will divide the data into clusters. Okay. Based on dissimilarity, we will divide. Similarity will combine the data objects into cluster. Okay. So, but some elements are nearer, some elements are some more distance. Then also we will cluster the data very far away. Then we will consider that is a not completely similar. Then not similar. Then we can say that as outlier. Na? Here deviation from the other elements, we can consider that as a deviation based outlier. Objects that deviate from this description are considered as outlier. Okay, objects that are not following these main characteristics are considered as a deviation based outlier. Hence, in this approach, the term deviations is typically used to refer outliers. Deviations, the term used is nothing but the outlier. Deviation, deviated from the particular path, that is nothing but the outlier. Two techniques for deviation based outlier detection are sequentially exception technique, OLAP data cube approach. Sequentially exception technique is nothing but the elements are in a sequential fashion. So one element is not in sequence, so that is nothing but that is deviation based outlier. Okay, if you are getting 3, 6, 9, sequence is there, 3, 6, 9. Next, what are the elements you have to get? 12, 15, 3 multiples. Okay, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 like that. If you get 3, 6, 9, 10, if you get so that 10 is the outlier. That is deviation based outlier. Next, OLAP data cube approach. OLAP data cube approach is in multidimensional. Data cube is nothing but multidimensional, 3-dimensional representation. In 3-dimensional representation, data is stored in data warehouse. Data is stored in 3-dimensional data cube format. So in the data, so if you represented quarter wise. Okay, how to represent the data already we have seen in initial topics itself. So you represented the data quarter wise, quarter 1, quarter 2 in 1 dimension. You represented the data quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4. In other dimension, the sales. 3 dimensions are there. In 1 dimension you have taken time. Okay, so in 2nd dimension you have taken sales. In quarter 1, what is the sales? In quarter 2, what is the sales? Quarter 3, what is the sales? Quarter 4, what is the sales? That you have represented. In other dimension, you have taken the time you have taken. Next, sales you have taken. So in other dimension, you have taken other parameter, the location. The location you have taken. Okay. So then the deviation here we can say we can discuss as quarters you have divided the time. So then in turn it divided into months. Okay. So if January, February, March, April, May, like that 12 months sales is there in particular location. Okay. So in 3 dimensions, one is the location, one is the time, one is the sales. Okay. So from January to December, from January to November, the sales, if you compare the return, the sales, the return is some 10 lakhs like that. So from January to November for some supermarket. So in December, the sales is 20 lakhs. For example, 20 lakhs rupees worth items sold, for example. So then the December sales is nothing but the outlier. So why means the December is the festival season. Okay. So like that we can find out the outlier. So from January to November, all are having same sales 10, 11, okay, or 9, nearer to that. In December completely rise, that is 20. Okay. So then that is nothing but the outlier, deviation based outlier in data cube. Okay. That is a sequentially exception technique, OLAP data cube approach. These are the 2 approaches for deviation based outlier. Okay. So these are the 4 approaches of outlier detection. Okay. So outlier we can detect by using statistical distribution based approach. Using formulas, you can find out the outliers, mathematical models, mathematical formulas. You can use the probability distributions. You can use based on that you can find out the outliers. Next, based on distance, you can find out the outliers. For that, you are using some algorithms here: index-based algorithm, nested loop algorithm, cell-based algorithm. These are the different algorithms to find the outlier based on distance. Next, density-based local outlier detection. Based on density, you are dividing the data into different clusters. Within particular cluster, if the number of elements are more, that is high density. Okay. So for that particular cluster, which element is outlier, that is a local outlier. For globally entire data set, which element is outlier, that is a global outlier. Based on density, you are finding the outlier. So that is the density based outlier. Next, deviation based. So from all elements, it is showing some different characteristics. That is deviation based. Okay, that is sequential exception and OLAP data cube approach. So these are the deviation based outlier detection. These are the different ways of finding out the outlier. Outlier is nothing but just the element which is odd from all the remaining elements, not showing the property of the elements. Okay, so that is contrasting with the other elements, deviating from the other elements. That is nothing but the outlier. That is simple definition. That we can outlier we can detect by using these all approaches. These 4 approaches we can find out the outlier. We can detect the outlier. Okay, that is outlier analysis.